Our topic for today is actually creating a sample program using visualbasic.net and integrating it with SQL Server. So, couple of topics I have mentioned. We will be doing login. So, a full version of login. So, that includes the login validation, login registration, and login update or change password. So, we'll start by creating a module. Okay. Creating a module for connection. Okay. So we'll start by creating a module for connection for us to connect via SQL Server. So we need to import two things. Import system.data. Import system.data.sql. So we need the SQL client for us to get later on the SQL data adapter. Okay, we'll check our okay. So we need to create a function. So that's why I will create a function. It's because we need to reuse this connection from time to time, so it's much better to put it in the function so we can call it in an easy way. Okay, let's start creating it. Public function. Public function so you can call out anywhere. Execute. String. Okay. So every function must have what? A return value. Okay. So let's build the structure. Return DT. And then for now, we need to create a connection string. So let's leave it there. And we need to create an exception. So we put our code inside the exception to avoid errors. What's the purpose of try-catch? Putting a try-catch will not crash your application. It will just contain your error on the exception phase. So if ever your application encountered an error, instead of shutting down, it will be contained inside the exception. So that's the purpose of that. So we need to declare our adapter. And we get our command and we get our connection. And then afterwards, we need to fill our DA, which is our data adapter. Fill. It means whatever the output of the command in the script will fill in your adapter. Okay. DT. Okay. So once the data table is filled, as you can see, there's a data table here. The function accept commands, and the command transfer it to connection, and then it will be put in the adapter. And we will put our script output in the data table and return it eventually. Okay? Whenever you call the function, the final output would be the data table. Okay, let's try. So, we will create using SQL Server. Okay, if in my instance, I'll be using just a Windows authentication type. However, you can also use SQL Server authentication by using ID and password. For this tutorial, we'll be using Windows authentication type connection string. So we need to enumerate our connection string here. Okay, I am at OVR. No. Okay. So we will put in the data source. Data source. Wait, OVR. Data source equals, and then wait. After the data source, we have the database name, initial catalog. After that, we have our, wait, I am having issues with connection type. By default, you set it as true. If you are using Windows authentication. I'm at OBR. Okay, let's save this first. Save all. So, after saving it, let's try to open it again. So make sure yes, this one. So make sure you have saved your project. Okay, that's it. And then we supply our data source using our SQL server. So to get it, you can connect to the SQL server, copy the server name, put the server name here. Of course, what is the database name that you will be using? In my case, I did use this TB online class. Okay. TB online class. Okay, I think we're all good. DB online class. In the DB online class, I have a sample table for login, which is called TBL login. Okay, so we will use this table, TBL login. So let's go on the main form. So as part of the naming convention, always change your objects in your form to avoid confusions. Okay? So we start by creating a test button. Let's say call it submit. Okay, how can we code that? So using our connection, we are able to check if there's a data inside our table. So the code to use would be something like this. So in this tutorial, I'll be emphasizing that you need to utilize the data table. Okay. Execute our function. So as stated, our function accepts one command. Okay. One command. This is the one parameter command. So that would be the SQL script. You can copy directly the script here, and then go on. So analyzing the conditional statement, if data table is your virtual table that rows, it specifies if there are rows in your data table and then count it. So definitely if it counts greater than 0, logically it has data. Okay? So that's what the code represents. So let's try it. See? Yes. Okay. So basically we're now connecting. How about if we have mistakenly put a wrong table name? Okay, let's try. So you can see how the exception works. Okay, no. Okay, then let's start proceeding with the validation. Validation, of course, before we validate, we need to script out the login code, which will redirect us to another form. So with that, let's create another form. So the form that we will be creating is actually the main form stated there. Main form. Yep. Okay. So we can use this code actually. Okay. So we go into the login, and now it's the time where you can design your form as a mini login form. So let's call this, then cancel, and text cancel. Maybe we create a label. So this label represent for registration, I think. LBL registration. Then we change the text. Don't have account. Click here to register. See? You can put something like that, maybe below or below the buttons. And text. Okay. Font. Let's go to font. You can put this way. See? that represents a link, the underline thing. So, the registration page, we will create another form for that. Okay. And then we add new item, Windows form. Yeah. So, registration. And we go back there later on. Let's finish the login. So, we have two text boxes, txt username, and then txt password, and then we start coding right away. Log in, you just extend your clause where each column should be represented exactly what is the column name that is case sensitive. So username equals, so txt and txt password.x. Okay. So the code simply says that we will select all of the data from TBL login where username comes from the txt username and comes from the txt password. Okay. So what is the name of the other form? Main form dot show. Okay, and then me.close, and then message box, incorrect credentials. Okay, let's try that. So it should be jtest1. Let's try a different password. Incorrect. So test1. Oops. Wait. It's because the script is wrong. So what's wrong with the script? Where username and see password. So it's supposed to look like that, where username and password. So as you can see, if your script is wrong, basically it will not work. Test. So incorrect. So test1. And then we are now on our main form. So that satisfy your initial login. Wait. I'll try to disable the havas. And then we go on to the registration. Registration module. So I think it's same as this. But we will have one button. So the logic of registration is actually inserting a new row to our existing login table. Okay, so we'll just have to validate if there are already users named what user you are trying to register prior putting it in our table to register that data redundancy. Okay, register. So as I've said, as you can see, my function is very powerful. So if we will try to insert some data as simple as this, execute, insert into TBL login values, and so this is the password. That text, and then put something account registered. But of course we need to validate if such account or such ID already exists. So we need to put another script here. So all from DBL login where username equals txt username.text. Okay, so if this data table, if dt count, then see this username already exists, and then the reciprocal part is this one. So this part is the validation script, validation query, and here is the main query to register. Okay. Go to the login form, double click the registration. What did I do is double click the registration on the click event. So it says if you click the label, it will redirect you to the registration that, there you go. Okay, let's try. So if I'm the user, if I'm trying to register without a user, so I might have click here, and then you see registration. So we will try to register. Okay, we will try to register. Okay, so we'll try first our validation. So let's check out for the username that already exists. So let's try Duterte. Okay, so you cannot register a username that already exists because you will have problem with your login. So let's try Aquino, and then test password. Account registered. Okay, so let's try Aquino test. Okay, so you already have a new user, Aquino test. As I've stated, here is your new registration. Okay, so the next thing to do, so we're done with the registration, so we will proceed with the update password. Okay, so we add a new form again. Okay, later we will create a folder. change password. So the change password thing have three different text boxes, and we have three different labels. So username, password. Label 1, label 2. So username, and then new password. New password. And then confirm. Confirm password. Confirm password. And then we will have button. Change password. TXT username, TXT password, and TXT confirm. We have BTN. Change password. So we start by getting the password. Okay. Username. I don't think new password. Old password. So maybe we can change the design. Maybe we can add another password. Okay. This is confirm and this is new. It's the new password. So you need to put your username, password. I see. We can eliminate this one. Okay. By using the label instead. Your old password. Old password. Yeah, that's it. New password. Let's change this one. TXT old. TXT old password. TXT new. TXT new password. And then TXT confirm. Okay. We have the LBL username. What we're gonna do with the username is change it with the username provided by the user on the first form, which is the login form. So not button, not this one. Okay. change password. Change password. Okay. Maybe here. Change password. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna carry over the username information from this form to another form to supply the information. Okay, so we're gonna code change password dot lbl username dot text equals txt username dot text. So with that, the username that will be inputted here will be carried through the change password form here, and then change password. We will put a some validation if txt username text equals must input your username before changing password. Copy this statement and we're good. Okay, you must input your username. So my username is Duterte. See, Duterte is here. So that is the purpose of the code. Okay. So we'll start coding the change password. Make it a bit bigger, 20 bold. The first step in changing password is actually getting the information of the old username. So make sure the old password he is trying to change is known. Unless this is a forgot password. This is not a forgot password. Okay, we need to select all the information. And we declare a password equals tt.row0 item password. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is when I have put the data in the data table, I get a portion of row and item password, which is later on will be put in a variable password as a reference. Okay, registration. Okay, change password. So old password should match on where? On here, on this variable. Otherwise, you are not allowed to change. See, if txt old password text equals password, then we will proceed with the next step. This is the first step, and then else. So this is the start of the second step, and we will put error message, which is incorrect password. So the second step is keying in your new password, which should be equal to the confirmed password. So that's my logic. Okay, so So that's the second step. So if txt new password the text equals txt confirm password the text, then so else box new password doesn't match, something like that. Okay, and then the main script comes here, main script, which is the updating. So execute update tbl login set password equals, you can choose from any of the two columns, either txt new password or confirm txt confirm password. The text, and then put a message password updated, and then you can close this. Okay, you can add another validation. So the validation that simply txt old password that text that eliminates null values. Okay, old password txt confirm. So for play sake, okay, then put here invalid input for the sake of error message. On the else, you put the main step. There is see, clean. The code is clean. So let's try it. First step is to check the old password. Second step is to check if the new password that is being supplied is equal to the confirmation password, and then if that is correct, and then it will update your password. Okay, this bus is cannot I think I'm gonna turn up this. Okay, let's try. So change password. You must input your username. Okay, and then next is, what is my username? J. Okay, so let's try a different password. Okay, we are on the invalid input. Okay, should have input. New password doesn't match. Okay, wait. Let's try to read the code. Okay, let's match the old. See, there is an error. So why my password is updated? Let's scan the code. But if we will check, see, the password is updated. So it means you updated all of the password. It's simply because you do not have the where statement. So that's a major error in programming. Sometimes you forgot it, but see, if you don't put a where statement, this will happen. So you need to fix your code. Where username false, and the LBL. So always remember, if you're dealing with account information, where statement should be present. So here and here. So that's what happened. Okay. So we will change some edit. With revert block. Pass. Okay. Let's run again. J. Okay. J. See? So the J is carried over. Invalid. I think I'm gonna install this real quick. Gonna install this real quick. Okay, I'm installing the Avast shit. Where are we now? Okay, let's try again. Okay. So we're gonna change password. So let's put J. Let's try this. Invalid input. So we're supposed to have input. Oh. Let's check the code again. So update where username correct, and this one txt all this. I see. So the condition is off. Okay. The condition is off. So it states here, if the old password equals new password, then we can proceed. Okay. No more Avast. Okay. ASDASD. J. Change password. Incorrect password. So this is the correct password. New password doesn't match. So let's put pass and pass. Okay, that's good. So let's try pass. Okay, see? That's good already. So we will now proceed on the main form. Main form to display. Okay. I'll be using list view, and some of you using data grid, that's fine, but I prefer using list view. So I'm gonna create a list view. Show data. Show data. So we're now 47 minutes on the run for show data. List view. Show couple of items to take note while using list view. Go on to the properties. Click view. details, grid lines, true, and multi-select, full row select, name, LV list. Okay, let's check again. Full row select, true, and then column, add column, text, username, oops, okay, username and password. Okay, we're gonna create a short loop. Gonna create a short loop using this function. So I'm gonna create string. Okay, about on a string. LV name as this. Okay, and sub. Items that clear. So at first, we need to clear out our list view, and we need to put DT filler. So DT filler equals execute. So SQL command, and then we create a loop. Counter equals 0. Nice one. Next. Wait. How many viewers? 72. Okay. Stay put. One loop, and then next loop. Wait, let's finish this. Column rows. Item. DT filler. Okay, second loop. Item the text. Call counter. Else sub items that add. So this is an exception only. Okay, let's put exception for null values. Okay, so this is our virtual table, and this is our connection icon, and this is, okay, to simply explain, imagine arrays. Okay, LB name. So add natin si LB item. Yan. Try natin, guys. So using this function, this subroutine. Using this subroutine, we're able to display yung data. Okay. Let's go on the main form. I'll show you how simple. Fill list view. Okay. And then what is the SQL state? What method? LB list. So the parameter command is just like this. So in the module method, there are two parameters: the SQL command, which is the SQL script, and then the LV name, which is the list view where you want to put your data from. So in our case, we have the LV list, and the script is this. Okay. Submit. Show data. See what happened? Okay, show data. So let's now proceed with the add, edit, delete, since we already have our show data. So we will have text box. Let's copy. We need two boxes, and this is label. So we will just use one table for this example to make it easy. Okay, and then we put add, edit, her favorite, add, edit, or the most weighted. Add, edit, and delete. Okay. So we start coding right away. txt is the name. Fix the username. Okay, we're good. So as example, I will try to have this. Okay. Oops. As you can see, it is wrong naming convention, so we need to update it. Let's check my OBS. Still recording. So let's play. Let's play some music. Execute. Straight to the point. Okay. Another validation. If validation later. We will just put this one. Okay. So when I copy this portion of code, it's actually refreshing the list view page. It's actually refreshing the list view page. I will show it to you. See, show data. So I will add Davila pass. See, Davila pass. Rodrigo pass. See, another one. Test user. Add. See. So we'll proceed with the delete statement. Can you see how clean is my code? 3-liner code. This is just a 3-liner code, guys. So if you ever encountered code opening and closing connection from time to time, every time, I will not say that's wrong, but there's a better way to do that using OOP. So like this one, we have a sub routine for our method in displaying data in the list view, and then we also have our function to connect into our SQL Server instance. So it's important to state, if you're deleting items, to state that there's always overstatement, so you will not be accidentally removing all your data from your table. lvlist that focus item that sub item 0.text. So deleted. So we will add an exception if lvlist that selected items equals 0, then lvlist that selected items, something like that. Okay. lvlist that focus item that sub item 0.text. Okay. Select the row you want to delete. Okay. So if you're having trouble deleting per row, so this is the solution. Okay, show data. So you want to delete Rodrigo? Wait. It will delete Rodrigo, but it will not refresh the page. It's because, as you can see, there is no field list view on the else statement. Okay. Delete. Okay. Let's say if Rodrigo is still here. Okay. There's no Rodrigo. So what we're gonna do is we will update our main script to add this as a refresh tab. Okay. Show data, delete Davila, deleted. But if I delete, okay, there's an error. Null reference. So the error is just stating that there is no selected items on the list view. So you can work on that, but this is already running. We will proceed to the delete statement. We'll try to fix that later. Delete statement. One thing. What I'm gonna do is I will put the data which is being referenced on the list view on the text boxes. So we're gonna click this. So the event selected index change happens wherever there's a movement inside your list view. So you can simply imply this code, txt username equals like this. The sub item represent each rows. Okay. Each rows on the list view as an array. So what this code does is this. So if I show data, I click Duterte. See? Click J. Click test user. Okay. So you won't have any trouble rewriting all information if you want to update something. And then let's proceed with the delete statement. Try it forward again. Execute. Update TBL login set password equals txt password text your password set where username, sorry. Okay, you can always add your validation later on. So let's update it to pass2. So data. Oops. Did test user update? Let's check. No. So basically, we have to pick something. Look at the update statement. See that pass WRD. Supposed to be password. So this is really case sensitive. So pay attention while putting your script. Show data, update test user to pass1. See? Updated. Pass1111. Okay? Okay. I think we tackled from change password, register account, main form, data display, and then the CRUD by using 2 text boxes. So I think that's enough for today. If you want to have some more tutorials, just let me know.